At the risk of being heretical tonight, might I suggest to you that 85% of Jesus' life, he was out of order. 85% of his life, he was doing what he was not called to do. God, y'all done got quiet. For 85% of his life, he was not flowing in his God-given function. 85% of his life, he is doing what his natural father wanted.
So, who is this man that just called Jesus Christ a sinner? This is Jamal Harrison Bryant. He is the so-called pastor at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. He is most famous for doing the following. Warning, you will hear profanity.
Every sister just elbow another sister, he should have listened. Every brother, would you tap another brother and say, I should have listened to her? God help me. Old saints, y'all forgive me, but I got to tell you, these hoes ain't loyal. You got to find somebody.
Believe it or not, Jamal would know quite a lot about not being loyal.
Walk us through what happened.
I stepped rolling outside of my marriage and had a extramarital affair that ultimately ended in a divorce to an incredibly wonderful woman, not because anything was flawed in the marriage or in her, but in my own immaturity for the level that I was getting ready to go into.
As many Christians know, after a pastor commits adultery, he is disqualified. 1 Timothy 3 verse 2 tells us that an overseer then must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, skillful in teaching. However, Jamal never stepped down. Instead, he gave arguably the most self-centered sermon of all time. He did not talk about his sin or his repentance. He talked about how he was, and I quote, the man. That was the title of his sermon. Here is how he introduced it.
I'm glad that all of you all are here this morning, but today I'm going to preach to myself. 2 Samuel chapter 12.
Now, you are about to witness one of the worst twistings of the Bible. As we can see, the passage is going to be in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 7. Remember, the context is important. This verse was after David had killed Bathsheba's husband after getting with her. Pause to read it. So, Nathan is sent to rebuke David. When he gives David a metaphoric story of an evil thing someone did, David says that that man deserves the worst. Nathan then tells him, you yourself are that man. Revealing that was a metaphoric way to talk about David's sin. This is how Jamal twisted the verse.
I'm going to preach for a little while today using as a subject, I'm still the man.
So, for the next few minutes, Jamal tells his congregation why he's the man.
In societal circles, success is equated to achievement. That your success is connected to what you have and not who you are. The Lord has taken me on a skyrocketed journey over the last 7.5 years. And in naivety and in immaturity, and now unashamedly I have a Bentley in the back. And that to the world would say, I'm the man. Flunked out of Baltimore City College High School, went to the community college and got a GED. 2005, after studying in Oxford in England, received my doctorate of ministry degree. That would say to me, I'm the man. Started off on WEAA radio Sunday nights, a show called Keeping It Real. And now I'm internationally televised on 4 different cable networks. And to the world, that would say, I'm the man. 8 years ago, I was buying suits out of K&G. Now got 3 tailors in 2 different countries. And in the world, that would say, I'm the man.
And he tries to make it seem as if David felt the same way.
David felt the exact same way when he defeated Goliath in his first public fight using 1 smooth stone and a slingshot. He walked away from that fight and said, I'm the man.
David never said he was the man. On the contrary, this is what happened. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 58, we go on to read the following. Then Saul said to him, Whose son are you, young man? And David answered, I am the son of your servant Jesse the Bethlehemite. After his victory, David still humbled himself and called himself a son of Saul's servant. He tries to compare himself to David. However, when David fell, he was a man of God. Jamal fell as a false preacher and continues to live as such. Jamal is also an advocate for the murder of children in the womb. He promotes this murdering of babies in the womb while at a baby dedication ceremony.
Week, America turned back the hands of time and declared war on women in this nation. I wanted us to stand resolutely to say to this nation that if America was authentically pro-life, then they would immediately abolish the death penalty. If they were really pro-life, then they would put more money into Head Start programs. If they were pro-life, they would seek to cure the opiate addiction in this nation. If they were pro-life, they would make sure that teachers feel safe in their schools. If they were pro-life, there would be stricter measures about gun control in this nation. If it was pro-life, we would not have to deal with food insecurity. But I stand with now the living matriarch of the movement, Maxine Waters, who said they have declared war on 32 million women in this nation. And one thing about a woman, when she is focused, she is not going to stop until she gets what she needs.
In Psalm chapter 139, verses 13 to 14, we learn that we are woven in our mother's womb. However, Jamal prefers if children are murdered there. This is also the same man that wants to use weed to bring black men to his church. In his eyes, Jesus isn't enough, so he will use weed instead. Jamal is also the same person who apologized to the LGBTQ community as if calling out sin was wrong. Yet the Bible makes it clear that those people are in sin. So, when a person that does all this teams up with a Christ-hating candidate, don't be surprised.
Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally.
Jamal Bryant was the first so-called pastor that let Kamala in his so-called church after that incident. No wonder she went to Jamal Bryant. He's not a Christian and is definitely not a pastor. Remember, the time will come when they will not tolerate sound doctrine. But wanting to have their ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance with their own desires. If you want to know more about how twisted Jamal is, a channel called Smart Christians has many videos from ages ago that expose him for the fraud that he is.